is, I will make some spiritual applications to it. This last week, a shooter went into a school and shot a number of people. 2 people died, one there at the school, one either on the way to the hospital or at the hospital. A news reporter that was one of the first ones on the scene found out that when she got there that it was her son that was doing the shooting. They heard a news report. There was a family that was in the area. They drove as fast as they could get there, and as they pulled in, they were loading one of the 2 that was shot onto a gurney, and the man noticed the socks that the boy had on, that it was his son. He was able to go up, hug him quick, told him he loved him. That's the last time I ever saw him. He passed away. The good news is that the school had Alice training. That when we had that Officer Reds Willis was in. They think that prevented quite a bit of life lost, in that they responded in a way that was helpful in helping to prevent even more loss. So I appreciate I wish he was, Officer Reds Willis coming in and teaching that to us. I think he did a good job. He was funny, he was interesting, he was informative, and one of the things that he mentioned is OODA loop. And I want to talk about what OODA loop is this morning, who designed it, and what advantage it has in a situation of an active shooter. The school shooting reminded me of it a little bit, and some things here that we actually need to practice. Officer Reds Willis has volunteered to bring a couple people and break in and attack us. He just wants to make sure that those of us who carry that he pats us down, he takes our guns, just so we don't shoot him quickly. So he wants to be safe, smart man. So during the training, they mentioned OODA loop, and they use what they use in their training is something to disorient the shooter that is coming in. You use this process of OODA loop thousands of times a day in decision making. You make decisions day after day after day after day, sometimes hundreds of decisions all through the day. And this process, when you make a decision, this process is involved in every decision that you make. I'll write these down for you here, whatever I did with my other one. I'll put it up there. I had it, laid it down somewhere. The Colonel John Boyd, and I'll read a little bit of a history about Colonel John Boyd, was a fighter pilot and an instructor. He developed a system that was superior to even Russian MiGs that were far superior than what we had in the United States. The aircraft were much, much more refined. They were faster. They were far better of an aircraft. But his system allowed our men an advantage of 10 kills to every one of theirs in our airplanes that were far inferior than their had, using the system that he developed. He also trained pilots. In all of his training and all of his fighter pilot and everything that he did, he never one time lost a dogfight, never one time. That doesn't mean that he wasn't outgunned, doesn't mean that they weren't good pilots, doesn't mean that he even had better aircraft. He used this system, and using this system, he was able to be the technically best fighter pilot that has ever been known in the world, and was never ever defeated one time. Even in mock simulation, people would come, he challenged them, had an open challenge for anybody to come and fight in him with a dogfight, never lost one time. So he used this system, which is very interesting, and I think it's something that we can use, and I'll explain a little bit of it, as a Christian in just our decision making and what we do for the Lord. One of the things about the system is if you have some training in advance, then what you see that you're faced with, and you're not faced with the first time, then you can make a decision quicker because you've seen it before. For example, someone, you're driving, someone, you see the lights flash in front of you, all right, they're stopping, boom, you hit the brake. If you've never seen somebody stop in front of you, like Ben here for the first time he's driving, he knows it all, but to actually put it in action is a little difficult for Ben. It takes him longer to do it because he hasn't seen it before. So there's a lot of things that this training does to help, in that it's not just somebody that walks in for the first time and you've never seen it before. So we're going to use David today. David is going to be our shooter. He's going to be an active shooter. He's going to come in this door somewhat unannounced, and he's going to start shooting us in here. So you say, why is he going to do that? I like blood. See, I like to hear the bullets smack the body. Yeah, you don't want to hear what a bullet sounds like smacking the body. You never forget the sound, but you know what it is. So David's going to come in, he's going to shoot us. You say, why? Because it will, in one extent, if it ever happens in real time, you will have seen it before. It will give you a little bit of an advantage. In any active shooter situation, whether it be here, be any place, any advantage you can gain, especially in time, may save your life. So we're going to do that, and I think it'll be fun. You'll kind of give you some idea how fast things take place. So OODA loop, the O stands for observe. Observe. You see something. All right? The second O stands for orient. Like Oriental chow mein. The D, and this is a loop, D-E, decide. And the final one, act. So, it looks like A-E-T, but it's an act. So you have the oo, D, A. And if you're going in a circle, it would be like this. And it's a loop because it continues to happen over and over again. One of the things that we do when I was getting trained as far as personal defense is how to clear a room. They teach the Navy SEALs, the Army, wherever you're at, they teach you how to clear a room. And to clear a room, when you go in, this being the door here, we have a shooter here. They have two people that go in the door. The non-dominant shooter is the first one that goes into the room first. Let's say, let me put this so the door opens out here. The non-dominant shooter goes into the room first and goes in like this and goes this way. The second shooter immediately comes in afterwards and goes this way. And what that does is this person sees the shooter come in.
Right.
He observes the shooter.
Right.
All right. Then he orients. He can possibly see, or he can hear. He can actually act faster if he hears something than he can if he sees something. The process is faster if you hear something to respond than you can see, and I'll read some of that. So shooter. Someone comes in the room to clear the room. Shooter. He observes, sees, hears, orients himself. Okay, because you see a lot of things, but then you orient, or another word might be focus. You come in the room, boom. He's observed, he goes, okay, they're in the room, they have a gun. Then he has to decide what he's going to do. All right, what do I do now? I'm going to shoot them. Just as he decides to shoot them, shooter number 2 comes in the room. Now what he's done is he has another observation to make. He had decided to shoot this one. Just when he decided to shoot this one and decided to act and shoot, Now, another person comes into the room, and he again starts the process: observe, orient, decide, and act. What that does is it gets this guy here, he's looking here, and a split second later, he looks here. This one then shoots, and guess what? He then observes, orients, decides, and while he's doing that, this one shoots. That's why they send two people into a room to disorient someone, and they don't send them in the same direction. One of the things we teach in the class, some of the classes I teach, the advanced classes, if there is any type of a malfunction that you may have, if you're in a situation of an active shooter or in any kind of shooting, is three things we teach you. We teach move, tap, and rack. I don't know if you can see any of that or not, but let's just say you're in a situation where someone's firing at you. You go, click. Not a good thing. Say, what's the first thing you do? Die. Yeah. It's over. First thing I would probably do, maybe before that or during that, I think I'd be praying. But the first thing you do when you hear a click is you move. You say, why do you move? Observe, orient, decide, and act. If somebody's shooting you and you're here, you hear click, you're moving. You say, why? Because he has to go through this process. It gives you time to tap and rack. You're trying to get whatever malfunction is out of there. Move, tap, rack. So we teach that on any situation where if anybody's breaking in your home or something, and something happens with your gun, it jams, something happens, it's always move, tap, and rack. So we teach that. It's hard to do it in the gun range up there, but we'll do it in class because it's hard to move in the range and we only do it on our advanced classes that we have. We call them skill building classes. And sometimes we'll take two of the lanes and we'll get them to move from lane to lane depending on how advanced the students are. So it's a system called observe, orient, decide, and act. That's why when they come with, they teach us the Alice class, what they used to do, you with me so far? I haven't lost you here. I know this is not real spiritual here, but what was the Lord told Peter? Rise, kill, and eat. So this is kind of the same. We're not eating, but in other words, we're in the rising and killing. All right, one of the things they teach with the Alice teaching is that if some shooter comes in, what they used to teach people was just to get down and hide. The shooter, all he did was walk in and go, and just started slaughtering people. What really, really irritates me, and also Officer Radswillis, his daughter goes to Daniel Boone High School, they refuse to let him come in and to teach them what to do in an active shooter. They have the old crawl under a bench and hide. It doesn't work. They just kill people right and left. So one of the things they teach is when a shooter comes in the door is don't sit there, move. You have a whole lot better opportunity to try and get out the door, get out this door, whatever door it might be, is to get out if you possibly can get out. Then if you cannot, then there's systems that you do. You barricade and do some different things like that. But if you can, one of the things that they did with the school is the kids, when he came in, they ran into a library. So they ran, all right? They were in the library, which was good, and then they barricaded the door because there was no out route from the library. But when they barricaded the door, they barricaded the door. It was like if we had an active shooter and he was over here trying to get in, I'd stack every pew I can. I'd put all you bodies in front of him. So there's different ways to barricade the door. There's things they use fire hose to put across the top. They use things to put over top of the door. They stack stuff in top of the door. So the kids did this and they were able to prevent a lot more, save a lot more lives. In this observing, 80% of the time, your decisions will be made on what you observed. Don't you know the devil knows how to get you? Especially you men. Yeah, you know what he goes after you men with? Sight. Sight. Now you women are not, don't get too pious on me. Women are susceptible too. But sight is what 80% of the time your decision is based on. When you ladies, you go to the grocery store, what do you do when you go to buy the vegetables? You look at them. Now, you might pick them up and squish them a little bit, and you might knock on the melons and some of that stuff. But you go in the store, 90% of the time, the things that you buy are based upon not your shopping list, but also, you know, new and improved. Yeah. You're upset when they changed your package of cookies and make it look different than you're used to buying. What happened to my cookies? I always buy this kind of cookies. Now these idiots have changed the pack on it. The reason they changed the pack is because they don't want you to see that it went from 14 ounces to 12 ounces for the same amount of money. I'm telling you the truth. It's marketing. So you do it by sight and hearing. For example, I think it might tell this. We're sitting here and all of a sudden we hear bang. Uh-oh. What was that? Flat tire, car backfiring, gunshot. Well, I can tell you pretty much if it's a gunshot. If you're around guns enough, you can tell the difference between a rifle. You can tell the difference between something that is high velocity, low velocity, breaks a sound barrier, doesn't break the sound barrier. You can pretty much tell what a shot sounds like. That's a rifle. That's a handgun. That sounds like about a 380. You say, can you tell? Yeah, if you're around it enough, you hear them enough, you can tell that. So you hear a gunshot, bang. What's the next thing you hear a gunshot? What do? No, I know you don't grab your gun. Yeah, that would be one of the things that I would do. Here's the next thing you do. You go, where'd that come from? You orient and you go, sounds like it was in the foyer. That's orient. You say, what do you decide? To go that way. Road owner, beep, beep. That's right. You think I'm going that way? No, you say you got a gun. That doesn't make me stupid. I'm going that way. So, John Boyd says the OODA loop is a process we go through hundreds, if not thousands of times in a single day. It is a process that defines how we humans react to stimulus. Colonel John Boyd coined the term OODA loop in the 1950s. I have a book. I don't recommend you read it. This is a biography about Colonel John Boyd. It is a fabulous, fantastic book. The man was brilliant. Some of the things that he studied was who's the Sun? Yes. Yes, the art of war. He studied him. One of some of his things that he studied was effective even when he went into Iraq. So it's a tremendous book. The reason I don't recommend you read it because he was a military colonel and they used military adjectives in here, a lot of them. So especially if you didn't get saved till later in life, okay, read the book. You should have enough sense to go, it's kind of like a cafeteria. You don't like everything, just pass over it. The material in here is fabulous material. You understand why he came up with the system he did. Absolute brilliant man. The new fighter jets that are on the market today are about 50% less effective than they could be had they listened to him, and instead of were worried about Congress deciding how to make an aircraft. So very brilliant man, very good book. Here's another book. It's called Predictably Irrational. Any book written by Malcolm Boyd is also a brilliant book. It deals with a lot of marketing, a lot of minds. But this one is called Predictably Irrational. Can you predict that someone will be irrational? Sure you can. Take Ben here, for example. Ben cannot get his driver's license for at least 5 months after he gets his permit. Is that correct? Yes. You know why? They have predicted that teenagers will act irrational. You say, but their reflexes, and one of my arguments, yeah, but my reflexes are twice as fast as your old fogies. Yes, they are. You certainly observe, you orient, and you decide much more quickly than some of us that are a little past the top of the hill. but your decisions and actions sometimes are not based upon much wisdom or experience. You see something, you go, oh, you quickly decide, but you make the wrong decision, boom, plow into them or something, or avoid it. I've seen people that could have avoided an accident, seen them right in front of me, if they just simply turned the wheel. Do you know what they do? Slam on the brakes, bam, right into them. All they would have had to do was simply go, and it went right around them. They were quick. They were fast. You know what my mother would do? One of the first things she would do, she would see something, observe something. She would orient, she would decide something, and she would act. She'd honk the horn. I said, Mom, you'd be better off to push on the brake than honk. Her answer to any traffic situation was honk the horn. Nice. God was merciful to my mother. She lived to be 90. She surely did not understand OODA loop. She always, 99% of the time, the decision and action were wrong on her part. It might have been fast, but they have enough statistics out there to know that many of the accidents happen with people that are under 25 years of age. They're smart, they're intelligent, well, most of them, and they can respond much, much faster, but lack of experience, or in the Millennium case, lack of any kind of common sense, they make wrong decisions. So Colonel Boyd, known as the fighter pilot who changed the art of war, there you go, Sun Tzu, was an F-86 pilot and commander of a fighter group during the latter part of the Korean War. He believed that when at a disadvantage, a competent pilot could still overcome that disadvantage by attacking the mine. When someone comes in here with a gun, we're definitely at a disadvantage. Now, we try to equalize that as quickly as we can, or to escape as if we can. So two things that we're trying to prepare here to do is to up the ante for someone coming in. If he has a gun, we have a gun. Not only do we have a gun, but trained to be able to use a gun as well, and to be able to escape if possible. His observations led him to a greater understanding of human reaction time, and coining the term OODA loop. Colonel Boyd trained his pilots based on his observation of human reaction time, and as a result, his pilots had a 10-to-1 kill ratio over superior MiG-15s. Human reaction time is defined as the time elapsing between the onset of stimulus and the onset of a response to the stimulus. OODA loop, which stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act, is Boyd's way of explaining how we go through the process reacting to stimulus. First, we observe, and keep in mind that although we process approximately, here's the sight, 80% of the information we receive with our sight, we can do and make observations with other senses. And I mentioned the gunshot. The orient stage, you're now focusing your attention on what you have just observed. The next step is the decide act, in which you have to make a decision on what to do about what you have just observed, focused your attention on. Finally, you have made your decision, and the last step is to act upon that decision. Keep in mind that OODA loop is what happens between the onset of stimulus and the onset of reaction to that stimulus. So if someone comes in this door, someone comes in that door, someone comes in this door, someone comes in this door, obviously we're going to observe. We're going to go, oh, this might not be good. Now, if he's got a couple pizza boxes, might be a, bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. We're observing that. And then we focus on that. We go, oh, that tastes good. Or this could hurt. And then at that point, you have to make a decision what you're going to do. So we already know that crazy people are out there. Crazy people are going in schools, they're going in churches, they're going in businesses, they're everywhere. So we know that that's out there. One of the problems with people making a decision is a what's the word I want? I'll think of it here in a minute. I can't think of the term. Failure to accept reality. This is not really happening. My mother was great for that. Nothing is ever really going to go bad. I had a lady that had a gun class up there, And I tried to explain to her how bad Reading was, and she says, I don't even see the need for this. She says, Reading's a really nice place. Nothing ever happens in Reading. I thought, maybe you should read the Reading Eagle. People are killed, stabbed, day after day after day. And, well, it has never happened to me. Yet? Well, my area that I live in, really, there is no area that is not safe. I mean, you're seeing, remind the Amish country with the Amish school and the kids. Well, it's just Amish country, you know, we're all, you know, we're down here and we're what's a pacifist, and we'll live in peaceable with all. Well, maybe somebody don't want to live peaceably with you. So no one is exempt. I tried to tell this lady, I said, look, lady, you live in Reading up here. Reading, and in her mind, she could not accept the fact that something could go wrong. So a lot of churches today, and some of the church that Officer Adams Willis goes to, they won't let him teach this stuff in his church because it's not going to happen in their church. Well, I hope it don't ever happen in their church. There was one church, the guy walked in, he walks down the aisle, and the preacher got his Bible up like this, hit the Bible, and paper flew everywhere. They thought it was some kind of skit. Went through the Bible, hit him, it did kill him. But when it hit the Bible, the paper flew everywhere. And they had no idea that it was even real. The guy walked right down the aisle and shot the preacher and killed him. That's why I got Kevlar all the way around the bottom around here. I'll duck down here while he's shooting you. I'll try to get him. Appreciate your sacrifice. Another book, before I forgot, that's a great book. Predictably Irrational. Every preacher ought to read it. It's good. You say, why? You don't have to read it. You just have to pastor for a while and you understand this. You can predict how irrational people act. Constantly. Do it over. Yes, ma'am.
I was home one time. I have a sunroom. There's a family room and a sunroom. And I was out in the sunroom, and this man ran out and started going like this. Praise the Lord, the door was locked.
In your house?
Yeah. And went like this, trying to get in. Let me in, let me in, let me in. I could see he was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I ran upstairs. I went through the door to the family room, locked that door, ran upstairs and called 911. Here it turned out he was one of the prisoners that was cleaning up the park below me. And he had escaped
And her neighborhood is a nice neighborhood, quiet, no people. See, you just never, that's pretty good.
But that is the door that goes to my outside. So usually that's open because I'm in and out, in and out, in and out. But it was locked.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Well,
I don't know what would have happened.
that's a good question.
I don't
My mom never ever locked her doors. She always said, if someone comes in, I think I can just talk them out. I said, Mom, you don't, she have, what, did I write it down here? Hicks. Denial. That's the word I'm looking for. Denial.
It was last year, I think, last year or the year before, two homes up on the opposite side of my street was broken at either very early in the morning. Two elderly people lived there and they were beat up and robbed. So it's out there. It's all over.
No, absolutely no question. Well, see, you're not in denial. Some people are in denial, and that hurts them from acting because they can't believe it's actually happening.
I think it was last week. Tom was over. I think he was doing his laundry. But anyway, he was over, and it was like, I'd say 5:30, just getting dark where you really couldn't really see really good. Had a doorbell went off, so I went up to see who it was, and it was a lady, and she's like telling me something about, I'd like to see your Pico bill to see if you're paying extra. And Tom came up and he said, who are you? And she had this thing where she says, well, I'm not from Pico. But
Of course not.
And Tom says, we don't want you
Getting lost. Well, they do that.
And I was so thankful that Tom was there. He says, Mom, you don't let people in like that. You don't even talk to them, nothing. You don't open your door, period.
No, you do not. We have a stun gun that we keep right beside our front door. You say, is it effective? It's better than nothing.
And it was a scam. It was,
Oh, sure it is. They call
how should a woman be by herself knocking on doors when it's dark?
money.
She might not have been by herself.
Well, that's what she had.
A decoy, and a guy could have been around the
Yes, that's very,
And that's three times since I've lived there that something out of the ordinary has happened. 3 times. It's like,
it does happen.
yeah.
But people say, well, it will never happen. Just because it never happened doesn't mean it won't. Let me finish this real quick because we're running out of time. How fast is your OODA loop? Well, that depends on several factors that can affect your reaction time. Simple reaction time is generally accepted to be about 220 milliseconds. 220 milliseconds. What can happen in 220 milliseconds? A guy can slam into the back of your truck, spin you around, knock you into your yard, and almost kill you in 220 milliseconds. In simple reaction time experiments, there is only one stimulus and one response. Simple reaction time can be gauged in a variety of ways, but basically a person is asked to place their finger on a button and told to manipulate the button in response to a light or a sound. Honk, it's kind of like getting your ears to, you hear the sound? Click, click. And it's based on a known reaction step. It says, it should be noted here that many researchers have found reaction to auditory stimulus is faster than reaction to visual stimulus. Perhaps this is because an auditory stimulus takes 8 to 10 milliseconds to reach the brain. The visual system takes 20 to 40 milliseconds to reach the brain. And goes on to talk about another thing in here. See what I wanted to. There are other factors that can affect your OODA loop, some of which can be overcome by training. That's one of the things we're doing today. It's one of the things we do when we teach people, and we teach people to shoot. We tell them, whatever you do, practice, 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 practice. It says, a researcher named Hick confirmed that by going from one response choice, decision step, to 2 response time, response time increased 58%. It more than doubled if you have 2 stimulants. That's the reason for declaring the shooter. It more than his response time that would have been 2.2 seconds or 2 something, now more than doubled when the first one moved into the room. And as soon as this one started shooting, or when they go in, not only do they go in, they also scream, yell. Not only that, many other times they throw a flashbang in. Bright light disorients you, loud noise, then they come in here, and they're yelling and carrying on. So what you see what they're doing, they're trying to disorient the shooter. Does it work? Yeah, it absolutely does work. Something we talked about, move back. 2 factors that affect your OODA loop during the orient step or denial we just talked about, and an emotional filter. Denial is when you refuse to accept or deny that is happening. Emotional filter is a lot like denial, except that you wish that this was not happening. Oh man, please don't let this be happening. This is not happening. Please don't let this happen to me. That's an emotional response rather than responding to, it is happening, what are you going to do about it? Freeze, deer in the headlight. But don't let this happen. This can't be happening. Well, yeah, it is. Let's see, reaction time on and on goes. See what else I want to do here. This is very interesting. Colonel Boyd also, what it is to me, maybe you may be bored to tears. Just go to sleep, I'll get it in here in a minute. Colonel Boyd also knew that other factors could affect your OODA loop. During the research, he found that fatigue was also a factor. He and his pilots were flying F-85s, and although they were slower and less maneuverable than MiG-15s they were flying against, the F-86 was fully hydraulic controlled, and the MiG was only hydraulic assisted. That meant the Boyd pilots could operate the aircraft with ease and gentle manipulation. Real easy. While the MiG pilots had to work harder to maneuver the airplane. Boyd found that the more his pilots maneuvered and the longer a dogfight persisted, the more fatigued the pilots became and the slower their reaction time became until the F-86 pilots were able to move their aircraft in a position for dominance. See why you're saying that? The devil will wear you out. He'll work on you and work on you and work on you till you get tired. And when you get tired, he'll take advantage of you. He'll wear out the saints. And he don't get tired. So there's a lot of times that this OODA loop, and if I had the time, you could make some good preaching on some of this stuff and show you how the devil, as your adversary, uses this to get advantage of you, to be able to shoot you and to be able to knock you out. Let's see. As instructors, we're always striving to find ways to give our students the advantage in a fight while diminishing the opponent's will and ability to fight back effectively. Making sure our students understand the OODA loop, how we react as humans, can go a long way toward accomplishing the goal. The really great thing about understanding the OODA loop is the realization that everybody has one, and their OODA loop is affected by the same factors that yours is. This is one of the reasons why in nearly every drill we teach, it incorporates moving. That has the effect of resetting the opponent's OODA loop and giving you still another advantage. That's one of the reasons when someone comes in, you move. Instead of just freezing, crawling down and something, you're moving. And that constantly, if you're here, now you're here, now you're here, he has to, each time, he has to learn, orient, observe, and decide and act. So if you're here, you stop, you're here, you stop, you're here, you stop. Each time he has to make that. You say, can he do it fast? 220 milliseconds, he can do it if there were no other conditions, there were no other stress, there were no moving objects. But what if 20 people are running in different directions and yelling and screaming? It disorients him, gives you an opportunity, if you have no firearms, gives you an opportunity to try and get out, or, if need be, to attack the intruder. And that's one of the things that they teach as well, to be able to attack the intruder if you can. I was in some Alice training, and I'm going to use David today. We're not going to attack David. Might be fun, but he has a suit on, so we're not going to attack David. But you can attack him, disarm him. You say, what if I get shot? Well, what if you don't do anything? And some people are never going to do that. They're going to freeze, they're going to run, they're going to be scared, they're going to just, you say, what is that? That's just human nature. Or some people will whatever reason, they just attack. And this, know what it is. So anyway, here's what we're going to do. There's a lot more I could teach about that, but I think that gives you a real brief understanding. David, I want you to go outside.
Good job, Ben.
Okay. He doesn't know this.
Good.
I don't think he could probably throw it. All right, now,
You want me to stop the recording?
what?
You want me to stop recording?
Oh, no, go ahead. Here's what I'm going to have David do. I'm going to have David come in and go back here. I'm going to tell him to wait 5 minutes. Hide those so he don't see them. I don't want him to see them anywhere. He's going to come in here. He's going to walk about this far, and he's going to start shooting. As soon as he walks in here, he's got a gun. It's a little plastic gun. When he picks up the gun like this, I want you to stand up and wing it at him as fast as you can, scream, and I want you, if you can now, go for the doors. Go for that door, go for this door, and try to get out. But before you do that, I want you to stand up, yell at him, and try to hit him in the head with a ball. He don't know this is going to happen. All right, you with me? All right, I'll go get it.
He's got to work that bag.
All right, David. Oh, it's making out. Hey, David. David.
He might have already went around.
I don't see David.
He might have already went.
Maybe he went into the back.
He might be standing behind the door listening to everything you said.
He knows what's coming.
He might have heard you. It was raining out, so we ran around out back.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to put into practice, oh, wait a minute, I need one. Do I have- oh, I got one of them. We're going to put into practice seeing what happens. Now, what I want you to see is if he ducks or if he moves or he disorients himself. If he's got the gun out and you're throwing stuff at him and yelling at him, anything you're trying to do is distract him. If he's distracted, he has to go through this process again. The more people that do this, the more he has to try and orient himself. So as soon as he walks in the door and he steps out here, yell, start throwing it at him, and then run. And just to see, well, you say, well, what will that do? It might give you enough chance to jump him if he's disoriented. And if nothing else, it might give you a chance to
You go, Fran.
yeah, we don't want to do that because we don't want Fran to hurt him. So I told him 2 minutes he'll be coming in here. He's going to come in. He's going to go this way. So we're going to go a little bit. So it's just kind of, we only have a couple minutes. So we just kind of fun to do. I mean, wing him at him. You say, what would I do if I wasn't using that? Purse, hymn book, Bible, whatever you had, jar of peaches, bag of cookies, bag of chocolate chip cookies, whatever it might be that you could have that would be there, that anything, doesn't matter what it is, you're just going to be able to distract him. So I might be able to jump him too when he comes in, but I probably wouldn't. You don't throw the chocolate chip cookies. Throw them that direction if you're going to throw them that direction. So anyway, just kind of a little bit of an experiment. We're not going to hurt him, but I mean, wing him at his head. So we're trying to get him. Why? You say because you have a natural flinch reaction to go like to duck and try to get out of the way. He's probably went out for lunch and he's not going to come back. So he does not know. It'll be fun. So Dad, now's your chance. I'm getting over here, so I'm getting out of the way so you guys don't try to. Cause I know what'll happen. I'll be in. Don't hit the preacher. We got him. We got him. Thank you, sir. Thank you, David. You did a great job. All right. Now you see what happened? You. Ben said, I got it. Now, if we had something that we could shoot, like little foam darts, it would have been better because you know if you got hit or not. Oh, yeah. But we didn't want to bring those little plastic ones in to hurt you. Leave it to Rebecca. But you notice what he did. He either ducked or tripped. I think you might have tripped.
Probably a combination of both of them. Wow.
Because he was getting hit. So he stopped shooting and tried to get away. By the time he got back up, most of you were gone. Out the door. Now Don, he was still getting up to throw the ball. He was observing and orienting on chocolate chip cookies, deciding whether he would throw them or not. So just kind of a little demonstration so that you can see. I knew he couldn't move. But thank you, David. He did a good job. And he might have hit somebody. The chances are, because he's disoriented, he's just going to start firing. And you may hit you, but it may hit you not in a non-vital spot. And that again, although someone may get shot, it may be something that they don't take their life with it too. And that gives you an opportunity too. You can see if you had a couple of people that would rush him, and you say, well, he's big and strong. Now you get 5 people on top of him. You say, what are you doing? Adjusting his thinking. And Officer Radzilla said, I'm not really against that. He fell down, he hurt himself 15 times. Anyway, OODA loop. Quick question, we're way out of time here. See how it works? The demonstration is so much fun. So if in real life someone came in, throw anything you could possibly throw. Run, scream, try to get out. If we can, and we can fight back, if we're able to do so, we will. If we're not, if we can't, I have a pistol under here, may not be able to get it out. Might be smarter to get out and stay alive. So no heroes, yes.
I have a question. Do you know the percentage of, like, one attacker to more than one, or like 2 or 3 coming in?
Yeah, I think it's 98% of the time. It's like 98.9 or 98.8, something like that. It's one person, and it's usually a young white male, or it's usually young males, and almost never women. Yeah, I think some of the statistics he had too. Okay, we're going to take a break. Thank you very much.